Hi everyone, welcome to Type Talks. Today we have our two lovely guests, Oatmeal, so Manny and David, and they are both INFJs, but they are a very special type of INFJ because they prefer their TI. And in the objective personality system, there are standard INFJs, so NIFE, and then there are jumping INFJs, which are NITI. And I suspect all of us to be the jumping kind. So we will explore that type in today's episode. And to start this episode off, I'd like to talk about our first impressions of each other. So, Tim, would you like to take it off?
Joyce, I've seen you in the community. I don't know, I can't remember when you got typed, but I guess it was months, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. And we've seen each other around, and there's been a really good rapport between us. I know in certain videos I'm on, you'll comment and say I get what you're saying with this, and you'll explain my process of thinking with NI and stuff like that, and same with your videos as well. So it's been interesting just to have that okay, this person gets my entire process for sure. And with David, I'd seen him in other videos way in my MBTI days. This was before OP. And at the time, David, you presented as an INFJ. At the time, I was like, oh, I really relate to, I feel like I relate to him. And after learning about OP, it's I was revisiting one of the videos that David's on, and there was a specific point where I was like, wow, this kind of encapsulates what it's like to be NITI. And he was talking about his feelings, and he was saying there's two questions in particular that he doesn't like his girlfriend asking him. It's how are you feeling today and what happened? Because he was just saying he doesn't track that. And just that snippet was a good example of wow, this, I get this. I'm not tracking what's happening in the day. I'm not tracking how do I feel? If I feel a certain way, I'll forget that I felt that way. And but I engaging with the NT, and just watching David in videos, I was yeah, this, I get the NITI vibe. And I feel I really relate to both of you just from what I've seen and stuff. So
I really relate to the both of you too.
Yeah.
It's very the opposite of a sensory preference to go I don't care about talking about the details of my day, and it's how I feel. Well, I'm kind of confused about that sometimes, so that's a weird question.
Yeah.
But what my thoughts, I can tell you my thoughts. Yeah, that NT.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, it's very strange meeting you two in person. Well, not in person, but here on this platform. It's just because I still get a very warm vibe from the both of you. However, it still seems very how do I say it? It still seems very thoughtful in everything that you guys say. You take your time to speak, to use your words, and I relate to that a lot as well, because just I don't just say anything just to say it myself. I try to think very carefully about the words that I use, because I know words have weight to them, and I get that same vibe from the both of you. For Joyce, I just really get that really like Manny mentioned it earlier, just really organizational vibe, and just really being very specific about the types of ideas that to discuss them. What you're doing is very methodical, and it's very planned out, and it's very strategic in nature, even though the point is to have people commune with one another. And I just think that's really cool. And especially since we're communing over the ideas that we have and the observations that we're making. So I think that's just all the NITI, but then also the FE, just kind of supporting the NI and TI there. And then Manny, just you using your observations to then make connections to somebody that you want to befriend, or someone that you are just really trying to connect with. It's also seeing that NITI, but through the lens, also using the FE, because it's trying to connect with somebody. Right now, it feels like a tribal kind of thing. Not much needs to be said, because it's just I get that.
Yeah.
Cool. But for Manny, I really get to. I get an understanding that you are very observational, and you make connections, and you bring up evidences of what you're seeing about a person, and then you make like inferences based on what you've seen, so that way you can make a connection and show the person that you've been studying them. And that's the one thing that I also do a lot. So like I really relate to you in that aspect as well. But like, yeah, you guys are really cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I love this FE fest right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tim, your FE is really nice, and you have this really connective vibe. But at the end of the day, like what's most personal to you are your thoughts and ideas about like humans or about things, and it's really cool. And David, I really relate to you because you have like really masculine NI in Dave Superpowers terms. So you are very certain about your NI and how it conceptualizes things and the whys, and you have this type of long-term type of view that I have with things, and just this very carefulness and methodicalness that you mentioned too. Yeah, I see it in you too, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I really want to learn about like both of you guys's like masculine NI, because I'm so like because I have NI, but it's feminine, so it's like it feels like it's supposed to be masculine because it's like one of my saviors, but it's just not. So like it's just so weird. But you guys seem to like have it unlocked. So it's quite a weird thing. So I'm just like, yeah, what? Because I don't know. Like this is like the first time I'm like interacting with like savior masculine, and I was like, in talking to them. So yeah, so I'm quite curious just to see how this plays out. Actually,
I think the best way, I'm struggling to explain my NI, but I think I often use chess imagery. I don't always see the end of the game, obviously, but I do, before I make one move, I definitely try to make sure that I figured out what my next 3 or 4 moves are going to be, right? So then it's trying to, I guess, anticipate or future pace whatever, like what's going to happen next sequentially. And usually I try to figure it out from there so that I'm best prepared. And that's just my general view on life. If not that, I view it as like diving deep into like a swimming pool, just trying to go as low as possible to then survey the area so that I can then sequentially figure out what I'm going to do next.
Yeah. Joyce, you said the same thing. You said, because it was one of the interviews some time ago, I remember commenting like, I don't do that. You said you do future pacing, like you use that term too. I always said I do like the future. It was just the way you talked about it. I was like, that's more, it's like even more like future stuff than me. So that's interesting. Like you both use the same term, like the exact same term to describe that. Interesting.
That's so cool. Yeah. Susan Storm calls like masculine NI long-term strategy. So it's like that chess piece thing. It's knowing how like each puzzle piece fits together so you can plan more steps ahead. And it's like this bird's eye view so you can attack it in the most strategic way possible. But Tim, I relate to you when you say that you have like a brain fogginess, but it's like you're thinking so much that it takes time for you to figure out like to close an idea because you want to get it like completely. Yeah. So it takes time. Yeah, and I relate to that.
Yeah, for real. I think we'll have to introduce like the animals to David. Wait, Dave, do you know about maybe you do know about the animals?
A little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
I only know about like sleep, play, consume. But I'm not like as deep into how it can show up. Like I know there's OE, OI, and like stuff like that. But again, I'm sort of like still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Like as on a as need basis, we'll just explain it maybe. I guess so. I was gonna say to Joyce that like the fogginess that we feel it's because we're missing an animal called blast. So the same way your functions stack up, your animals stack up too. So you have like a last animal, and blast is one that is it combines OI with your DE function. So for us, that's our NIFE, which would be like a normal INFJ animal to have as a savior, as the first one, but we're missing that. So that's why we have that fogginess, because like we have these patterns, but they're not closed loops. Like we're trying to close them, but we're going the long way around. We're going through all the other animals close that NI loop. So it's like it takes longer. So yeah, that's me as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Do you relate?
Yes, because it's very frustrating sometimes to even talk to people, because I'll have a great analogy of what I want to say to somebody that'll be able to like encapsulate exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I'll notice holes in it. So then like I don't want to give them the wrong impression or the wrong idea. But it's just like I'm trying to figure out the best way to take this large idea and give it to somebody, but I noticed that like there's problems with it. So like I'm over here loading, and the person is just waiting on me, and I feel that.
Oh my god! You could not get a better description of Blast. Like Blast is literally like communicating. Like that's what it is. It's like transferring your known information to the person and like connecting it with them. So when you have that last, it's like it's hard to just pull everything together and give it to them in a relatable way. It's like you need to take your time. And there's like you can't get started as well when you have Blast last. It's hard to like launch yourself and like get stuff out. That was perfect. Oh man.
Yeah. Just talking to people is hard sometimes.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you kind of want to present that perfect idea, because your TI is like, how do I say this more precisely in like the right way that it will translate FE to that person? And so you spend so much time like going like, okay, so this area, is it covered? Is the space covered? And then I need to like completely get it all the way through.
Yeah, exactly.
I relate.
Right.
So that brings us to our topic, misconceptions of NI. So do you guys have any ideas on this?
Oh, this misconception in my head is like, it's specifically because of like the whole, because you said like, so in MBTI, masculine NI is like the standard NI. So when I thought I was INFJ in MBTI, I was like, why is it that like I know I have these functions in this order. I know this is my stack, but I just don't relate to how people talk about NI. Like I'm not looking so far ahead where this is the line. I'm like I have like alternatives and I'm trying to push towards a certain direction, but it's not so for like forward thinking. And that's one misconception, I guess, but that's just because of MBTI and just the fact that it's like NI isn't necessarily like, how do I say this? I'm doing the last thing. NI isn't necessarily
psych.
Yeah, I just don't know. NI isn't necessarily like one path, but it's trying to find the right path, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's like you see something happening and you know every sequence. It's like the more feminine version won't really know exactly how something will play out, but it's willing to like find out like what's the right path for me and stuff like that, but it's not as aware of like the sequences.
That's really interesting. Now, I would like to just give a debriefer to people who are new to OP. So masculine NI is the most stereotypical MBTI version of NI. So it's what you see in most descriptions. People with masculine NI, like me and David, have a more like stereotypical NI, whereas like feminine NI that Otim has is less of the MBTI stereotype. So it's like on that border between NE and NI, but it still has the inherent properties of NI. So it is NI. Now, the thing is, like, to understand this, you also have to understand extroverted intuition. So extroverted intuition that is feminine is the stereotypical extroverted intuition that you see written about MBTI. So feminine NE is the stereotype of extroverted intuition, and masculine NI is the stereotype of masculine NI. I mean, NI in general. So we're going to talk about the gray area today, because that exists. Because I relate to both what you said, Otim, and the stereotypical version of NI, because I relate to both of you. I would say that sometimes the right path is not just one path, because sometimes the truth is gray, and that it requires a broader view than just like a one perspective. So it's like sometimes it is just one path, but sometimes it is like this massive gray area that people just like to simplify, but you can't really simplify the truth in that way.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I wonder, maybe like the furthest maybe like the because there's a spectrum, so maybe it's like the NI that's most about that single sequence of events that must happen is like if you're this might be new to you, David, but if you have like sleep and blast together, because you have like the animal stat, so if you have sleep and blast at the top, it's like you're hitting your NI twice. But if you're missing blast or missing sleep, it's like your NI is like not closing very easily. So yeah, maybe the one side of the spectrum is more like single focus, and like I think we have like, I'd say all of us are like double activated SE. I know I'm throwing a lot of lingo here. I'm sure Joyce is gonna clear it up in a sec. But yeah, we have double activated SE, so it's like we're more open to like gray areas.
Yeah. And I get frustrated with people who sometimes see things in, if the one way is the wrong way, I'm like, you're going very far in the wrong direction. So I'm like, sometimes the answer is more in that space that you have to think about more, but sometimes people don't put in the NT or the effort to really understand it truly. So you're left with people constantly misunderstanding reality or constantly misunderstanding ideas.
Yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah, for real. Like just like that. Yeah, that's true.
It's because they're kind of careless with how they put together like ideas, and it hurts because it's like these are personal to me, and you don't care about like thoughts.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's so true. That's true. That's actually quite true. Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
Do you think that the way NI shows up for us in terms of like parsing through the possible likelihood requires us to use our TI, and that's why it's difficult for us to be able to like distinguish the two, because they're so linked for us? Like, do we have these abstract ideas or like hypotheses with our NI, and then we need our TI to break it down to help us figure it out? Do you think that's what's going on in there, or like is there something else? I don't know.
Yeah, like it's really hard for me to distinguish my NI and my TI. Like they're like, it's like let me think of an analogy. It's like I can't think of one. But it's they just go together. It just comes together, and it's hard to like separate what aspect of this is my TI, what aspect. I just see like something I'm trying to work on, and it's like abstract and it's like logical. So it's like it's just together. I can't really parse them out.
What do you think, Joyce?
Yeah, so I think like NI is that deep need for understanding and organizing perception. So it's like taking it and unifying it. But I think what puts it into a framework is the TI. So the TI is like precisely understanding it, while the NI is just like this gather machine or organized machine. So it's just like, so it's INFJs are a little weird because like they want to step back and kind of understand something, and then like get into the judging it. So they're first about like, I don't know how to explain it, but INFJs, when they state something, you can feel the convolutedness. So you can see the sides that they see. So it's like they'll have this singular perception, but they'll explain like these perspectives, like you see it like this, and you see it like this, and you see it like this, but ultimately it's talking about this like one thing. So it's like it's so careful, like and like methodical or like deliberate with how precise they understand what they see. I don't know how to explain it. It's so intellectual, or like
I get what you mean. like the thing you just described. I'm aspiring to do that. I always find it hard. I'm always frustrated because I can't ever really explain it, like to give it justice. So I just try my best to show different sides and show that you can connect something in different ways, just to show that there is something in the middle. But yeah, my feminine and it's like it's hard for me to be aware of that thing. I just know that there's something there. So it's always frustrating. But like totally it's the same, what you described, it's the same desire for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like INFJs, they bring things deeper because they see that line that connects everything. So people think that they're talking about different things, but the INFJ will go like, well, this is what connects it all. What all of these like disparate ideas, they all have this line of best fit. And it's like profound for people to hear or something. Or maybe it's a misconception, Manny. Like, I'm sorry if I'm like perpetuating masculine and I.
No, I relate though. Like I as in my mind, that's what I wanted. I never do it, but like I'm because you said people kind of not, I can't remember what word you used, but you were like people like that, they respond well to that. And maybe I did I mishear that? I don't even know if you said that. Anyways, I think I never I want to do that in my head, but I never like actually do that. You know what I mean? Like I keep imagining one day I'll connect it all and like give everyone the stuff. But yeah, I don't have the confidence to like speak it out. But yeah, it's definitely, that's how it is for me inside anyways.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I find that INFJs with masculine NI, or maybe it's all INFJs, but they're good at keeping the complexity of an idea while explaining it. So something they're good at is like, I found a lot of people water down the complexity of ideas when they talk about it, but when the INFJ says it, they're able to retain the complexity of the entire conceptual idea and say it in a like level-headed way that conveys like the depth of the concept. And it's like, wow, because that's how I feel when I listen to, you know, David or Otim. So I don't know.
Yeah. So, yeah, thanks. I really appreciate it. Like I'm unaware if it connects. Like I don't know what's happening. It's just if I talk, it's like it just comes out. It's like I'm saying something that fits a puzzle. Like someone has a knowledge gap and I'm like, let me just plug this. I feel like this will be useful for them. And I just try fit it. And yeah, so I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah. I guess the NITI is good at like plugging that knowledge gap because the TI is like, this is a missing piece of knowledge. And it reminds me of this drawing that David drew. By the way, David's an artist and his art's amazing. I'll link it below. But yeah, so he drew this picture about a shattered mirror and about like how everyone has like a piece of the shattered mirror. And when you put it together, you can understand like the idea of reality. So it's like you have all these different ideas, but they're really talking about this full thing. And if you synthesize all these broken shattereds, you can synthesize the whole mirror and you can see the idea clearly. And I related to that because it was just so beautiful and it filled in the knowledge gap. So you were talking about like, it reminds me of the idea of the knowledge gap. And it's like, so you guys are missing the full mirror. So if you just put these together, you'll have a complete and you won't have the knowledge gap. I hope that made sense.
No, it makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah. Like, and what's interesting about that is like, usually even if you put it all together, it'll still be fractured in a sense. Like you'll still be able to see the whole thing, but in a sense, it'll still be like, because I feel like no one person has the full, complete objective truth because everybody is in their own like subjective to a certain extent. So like even when you try to present the objective truth, it'll still be fractured in a way, but that way people will still have a sense of clarity in being able to see what exactly like the bigger picture is. So I think that's just a beautiful way of how you interpret that. But yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And that's why I hesitate with telling people my opinion. It's because I know that we are all fractured opinions. So what if what I'm saying is just another example of like an incomplete opinion that is just portraying itself as a perfect opinion? And I'm like, I don't want to be like that because I see people doing that all the time. And so I need to like think about it more. And then I end up not talking sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the thing about the thing about the contribution is that like now you're adding your piece. So it's just creating a larger understanding of what the truth is, because you can't just no one person can have the truth. But if you add to it and you discuss it, now you both have a bigger understanding. So now it's just like, maybe you're not right, but through that discussion, you'll both discover what is right. So
yeah, you both encapsulated the two battles, like the two sides of the battle in my head. Like I'm like, oh, I don't want to say this. Like I know what could happen, but then also I should kind of say it anyways. And I'm just like back and forth, and like, yeah, it's those two sides.
Yeah. I also feel like you're a part of my head too, dude.
Yeah.
Because you're voicing something that, because I was like, it's classic like INFJ to talk about, you know, how we bring together these fractured opinions, and although it may not be objective ever, at least it gets closer there if we just combine it rather than just independently trying to figure it out. Because you're not gonna figure it out by yourself. You're just gonna be looking at your biases in the face.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. Yeah, very true.
I have a question. I don't know if this actually relates to NITI, but do you guys ever have, like, just thinking about what we were just talking about, do you guys ever struggle with making decisions based on your perceptions, right? Like, so you make an observation and you think you have an idea of what's likely to follow, but based on that, like, you still struggle because, like, you sort of had this internal conflict. Does that happen with you guys regarding any insights you may have? Or I don't know.
I tend to, my assumptions aren't quite, I have like weak assumptions. So that my assumptions are very contingent. It's like, all right, I want to do this thing. These are the general possible things. So I'm going to act in a way that makes me fine for these 5 possibilities. So then, like, I can just go into that thing and find out what's going to happen. It's not the worst thing because I'm not acting with much certainty anyways. Like, I'm just trying to find out if it works out. I'm like, well, if it doesn't, it's like I haven't over committed. So I'm always acting from like I don't know how to describe it. I hope that kind of makes sense. Like, yeah. Like sometimes I'm almost planning to fail as I plan to move forward. It's like, it's weird. And it's almost, sometimes I'm like, I might fail and that's okay. And I just, and me going forward depends on how well I'm okay with failing. It's like, I can't do it without thinking this might not work. Do you know what, like, it's weird. I have to like have that, I have to be fine with failing. So then, then I just kind of find out. But because of that, I never really make granular leaps, which I wish I did that more. I think big leaps are what really take you forward in life, though. So like, as much as I'm saying this stuff and I'm making it sound good, I do think there's like there's a place for being confident, for sure. So, yeah.
That's so cool, because it's like I think that might be a small differentiator between feminine NI and masculine NI, because I think masculine NI is more okay with the big leaps, although it might still be scared of failure. Like for me, what I tell myself is you can only fail so bad. So it's like, okay, so I might fail, but it's only so bad. Like you can't embarrass yourself that bad. Like, so like I can live with that. Like, sure, like bring it on. But I guess being introverts too, it can make us take smaller leaps. But I think in general, masculine NI is more comfortable with like that step forward, while feminine NI might be like small steps. And so I'm thinking also about something that we were talking about just a while ago. Man, I'm blanking out too. It's a very mind-blowing thing. Oh yes, David, you brought up the thought about do you ever have conflictingness inside yourself? And yeah, that's what I consider like part of the brain fog too, because I think the truth is sometimes more complex than people give it credit for, and it can be hard for me to. I may know that one path is probably the most likely or the most good, but sometimes it's hard because there's also these little things attached to each choice that it makes it hard to pick. It's almost like I can see the ripple effect or the domino effect attached to each option. And because I can see them as so severe, depending on which one you pick, it's hard for me to pick because I'm like, hard choices, and it contributes a bit to the brain fog.
Okay, that's so interesting. It's like you really, wow, so, like you really like respect it.
Yeah, it's like you can feel the implication of choosing the complex choices, because although you know one of them is clearly more right, you know that there are clear implications attached to both, and that choosing one of them is still choosing the lesser of one evil. So it's like, well, what do I choose? Like, they're both like the lesser of two evils. Like, they both have bad negative consequences attached, and it's hard. It's like, it feels like conflicting.
Right.
Wow.
You explained that so beautifully just now. It's like, oh my God. Okay, so to me, how I see it is like the Matrix. How like it's like a constant episode of that, where you have the red pill and the blue pill. You know what's going to happen in each scenario. Like, you have an idea of like, okay, I think this is going to happen, and then that is going to happen, and I'm not sure what's going to happen after that, but I have a feeling it's going to be there. And then you have the other one, which is like, this is good. However, there's just like this and this and this. It's like, I don't want either of them, and there may be even positives to either of them, but at the same time, you understand that like, whichever way you move, you're going to have to think even more strategically about what's happening next, because it could have very dire implications, and you don't want to ruin anything. So then it might cause some paralysis within you, because you're like, okay, I don't want to make the wrong move.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Wow.
I think with me, like on a day-to-day, I'm kind of chill with it. But then the more like long-term this decision is, how do I say, like let's say career choices, like something really long-term and big, that's when I get like that. But not like, but it has to be something really, it has to be like career, like I'm committing 10 years, but not like a year. I can throw away a year into experimenting, like, but like 10 years, that's when it's like, fuck, you know what I mean? So maybe I have like, I'm a bit too it's so cool because you guys like really respect the sequence of like what, like how this could play out. And it's almost like I do it in a lazy way. I'm like, when someone tidies up, but they don't really tidy up. They're like, all right, I'm tidying up. This is kind of good enough. I'm gonna shove this over here. Like, okay, it looks good. It looks good. If it's ever messy again, I can just tidy up again. Whereas if you tidy properly, it's like it stays tidy. So I'm like lazily tidying up. Like, I'll clean it up again if it's a problem. I don't know. It's weird.
That's an amazing way of putting it. Yeah. So it brings us back to that spectrum analogy where masculine NI is the most stereotypical, and then there's feminine NI. And then a level up from that is masculine NE that looks a lot like NI, but it's still NE because it has the inherent properties of NE. And then there's feminine NE, like unmistakable NE that is so NE.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, and wow, the blue pill and the red pill. I've never had my cognition so like eloquently explained before. So thank you, David, for that masculine NI analogy. It really feels like that. Each decision feels like it weighs, because once you pick that, you have to think about all the negative implications related to picking the blue pill, and you're like, now I'm overthinking the implications that have to go with choosing this, and now you're like always like going like, wow, that's a lot of weightiness to take on. And
it sounds heavy. It sounds very heavy. Like, I don't that sounds so heavy. Like, no, I get it. That's so my brain fog, because I have brain fog too, but it's not exactly like that, because it's like what's my brain fog? My brain fog is like it's almost like, it's like I'm thinking of things. It's like the patterns are kind of, everything blurs in. So where you have the red and the blue pill, to me, it kind of starts blurring, and like I mix sequences, like where I'm like, this thing will happen if I take the red pill, and this thing will happen when I take the blue pill. Like I start like mixing, like it gets very confusing, and I forget. Like I'm like, wait, what am I scared of again? Like I was scared of something, I forgot what it was, and I have to like, and I'm just, it's like confusion. It's like, and then it's like, oh fuck this, I'm just gonna, ooh, can I swear? I never asked. Is it fine to swear? Or maybe I shouldn't swear, but like I'll just be like, you know what, screw this. I'm just gonna I'll just like, I have enough pieces. I'll just figure out or something, and then I get frustrated that I didn't take the time to do what you guys do and like think it through.
So I guess like masculine NI has a level of intentionalness. So it's like if I intentionally pick this blue pill, then I'll have to intentionally pick the nenext steps too. And so like with Manny, it's also like this chaoticness to the NI. So
yeah,
because the NI perceptions are less confident with you, so then they start to blur together. Like
For
masculine
real.
NI is like the confident NI, and then the feminine NI is like the wavering NI.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, sorry, I just need a clarifying point. What are the strengths for your NI do you perceive? Like, because I hear you saying like how sometimes it can be very foggy, and sometimes very like uncertain. So like, what would you say the strength of your feminine NI are?
Dude, I want to know the answer to that question. I've been telling people like my NI is trash. Like it's like a child. So like it feels like a child. Like it wants things. It's unable to get it. So I have to like.
Wow.
It's like. So I think the other day, like a week ago, I was thinking about when you have a masculine savior, so masculine NI, versus when you have a feminine savior, like feminine NI. And I kind of like, I had an analogy, one I actually remembered for once, right? That like the masculine NI would be like, okay, I am the king, but like I lead my army. You know, some kings would like lead their army out into battle. Then the feminine version is like, you know, when like you have like a child king, like they're a king because of some circumstance, and they can't do anything. They have to rely on the army to take care of business. So my NI does that to like SE. It's like it's like I'm useless. I just have to hope that my army does the right thing. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. But if I try like think about it, maybe, I can be flexible when things go wrong. Like if I find myself in a terrible situation, I'll be fine to just like switch channels and be like, well, if I don't have these resources, I can always do this. Like it's like I can just like go with whatever happens. I think, anyways, that's my biased perception.
Yeah, the flexibility is a real strength of yours, Otim. And I find that it also enhances your FE to have like feminine NR or something, like because you're very like FE-ish, but I think it's the flexibility weaved into the feeling.
Yeah.
So it brings us to this interesting point, because then like for me, a downside of masculine NI, the way I experience it, is that it causes this type of conflictedness, like David mentions, and I can kind of be like crushed by the weight of that conflictedness inside me. Like it can feel like a lot. And it can be mistaken maybe like for FI when another party is viewing it. And I was wondering, like we've all had experiences where someone has like maybe wondered if we were FI. So I was wondering if maybe we could go into that. So David, would you like to take that question?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of FI is usually so correlated with like art itself. So like just being an artist, sometimes people will confuse me to like have you like super strong values or like be perceiving life through like this very individualistic lens, which in a sense it kind of is. But I think a lot of my perceptions about the world come through like truths regarding people, right? And like how people can like relate to one another, usually truths regarding like going deeper into like our relationships with one another, but they can often be perceived as like me trying to show how the individual is the most important. And I feel like that's only important when it involves the community, like uplifting the community. So like usually just the way that I will go about things, because they can be abstract, or because of the way that like the way that I usually try to express myself, that can be seen as something that's very centrally focused. I guess a lot of the ways that people can view me, they will be like, you have a lot of strong FI energy. And I don't know how else to combat that, because it's just like, I don't know what exactly like to show them, what parts of myself to show them, because I'm not even sure of what I'm feeling sometimes, or like I'm not sure of, like, one thing people also notice about me is that like I play devil's advocate a lot, so people don't know what my actual values are.
Oh my god, yeah.
So, that's one thing that I usually try to point to, but like it at times it can be very difficult to show people that like, okay, I try to show the different values of a community and not just my personal values. Sometimes it can be difficult to try and show people that like, this is what I think makes sense, and it's not just something that only makes sense to me. But it's like, when it gets into the artistic realm, it's inherently sort of like wishy-washy and like whooshy and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but I think one of my biggest problems is that like, for me, art communicates something visually that cannot always be interpreted one way in a verbal sense. So like, I think that's where I get caught up the most, and how it comes up for me. Is my screen okay?
Yeah,
it's a little
fuzzy.
blurry, but I guess it's too late to change it now. It's pretty much the end of the episode.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh my god. No way. How?
It's been
like it feels like it's been like what, 15 minutes? Like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god.
I loved talking to you guys. Like, it felt like butter on a toast. It would just slide so easily. And so yeah, David, dude, I completely relate to you, and like how you play devil's advocate so no one knows what your actual opinion is. Because I don't like to present an opinion that is only like true to like it. Well, my TI is kind of like it's kind of like an ad. Like, I don't want to swear. Okay, wait.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like my TI is a little cheeky in the sense that it likes to like show how this side and this side and this side makes sense. And so you rationalize all these different angles, and then people are like, "Well, what do you believe in?" Well, you're gonna have to weed through all of this to figure that out.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know. It's like TI flex or something. It's just like devil's advocate for fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's really how it is, because like sometimes I won't even know my opinion on something until I talk about it with other people. So then that's when I get their perspective, and I'm like, okay, what about this? What about this? And I'm really trying to like play around with it to see if they understand, if their logic makes sense. But then I'm also developing my opinion as a result of that interaction. Like, okay, this is what makes sense to me now, because otherwise I wouldn't have known if I'm just like banging around thoughts in my own head.
Oh, that's kind of like how FE works. So you're like teasing out what the values are, and you're just like seeing it, and then you're forming your own values from that like interaction, you know. It's not just like it exists already. You just have to like see like, okay, I have my own internal logic. Let me just play with that's so interesting.
Yeah, it's completely that. David, you're like me and a guy. It's so weird.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh man.
You know, it like, I think as well, like with the NIFI confusion, I think it's because in OP you have the like letters kind of go together. So N and F are just like naturally abstract, like they're both abstract, and then sensory and thinking, ST, it's like the most grounded like reality. Like, so it's very easy for people to get confused with that, because they're both like just abstract, like, and the NI and the FI, they're just like kind of abstract. So I think that plays into it, and it's like you're doing art. Like, do you know? It's so. It's kind of like it just. There's no. I don't even know how else you can express clarity to them. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'd make this argument. Okay, so FI is traditionally associated with art, and it's true. But I would argue that TI is its own form of art. Because it's like taking all of these interesting thoughts and then figuring out a way to like combine them in their own logic. So it's like, okay, so if I get all these opinions from these people, then I can in my own mind like piece together them like Jenga blocks into this beautiful opinion. And
exactly. I think I like look at it as art as well, like exactly how you explain it. Just like
it's mental art, dude.
Yeah.
It has this individualistic flavor because you're not like taking logic at face value, but you're like you're taking and considering logic, but then you're turning it into your own thought, and it's like so beautiful in that way because it's unique in its own way. But it's not like an FI value unique, but it's like a TI individualistic because your logic is so independent to you. When someone hears it, they're like, "Oh, I didn't think about it that way."
Yeah, and it's like it's actually your identity. So it's like, this is some good shit. I'm good.
Oh man, that's a good way to put it. I never thought of that. Like, FI is more like individuality when it comes to your morals, your emotions, your values, but like TI is more about your individuality as to what you think, your philosophies, like the ideas you can come up with, combine and put together. Like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. The reason why we're not FI is because we're oblivious to our emotions. Like, I think all three of us have at one point went like, what am I feeling? Sometimes I even I look around to see if someone's commenting on my emotions so I can figure out my own emotions.
Yeah. Oh my god. The amount of times in school, I think this is like a masculine DI issue in general, but the amount of times in school people be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, because if you have like a resting bitch face like I do, and I'll be like, I'm actually really I feel really good right now. I'm just like, they're saying, "Am I okay?" Then I'm like, "Am I okay?" Like, wait, what's going on? Do I feel okay? And I don't know, and I'm really confused. It's like the demon F. Like I genuinely don't know. I'm like, something wrong with me? I don't know. So yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's for real. Journaling has helped me though. I've been doing journaling for like some years now. That has actually helped me be aware and like meditating as well. So that helps.
That's so interesting. Yeah, that demon F, man. I think about it this way. Like, I've had viewers and friends of Type Talks, this show that we're on right now, tell me like I feel a certain way towards guests. It's like, "Oh, that guest made you uncomfortable, Joyce," or "You seemed happier in this video." I'm like, "I was?" I'm like, "Well, apparently like I'm very expressive on my face. Like, it does show." But when it comes to deciphering, like precisely getting at the emotion, I trust other people telling me about what I'm feeling more than my own first impulse. Because I'm like, well, you're probably a more accurate mirror of what I'm feeling. Whereas I think maybe like a savior F or a FI user would go like, they'll trust their own opinion of what they're feeling, or they might not, but like they'll defer to themselves, and that's the end of the day. But I defer to other people usually, or maybe this is just a me thing.
No, I totally agree. In terms of like being very expressive on the outside, but not necessarily picking up exactly like what you're putting out. Like, for example, like whenever I'm listening to people, I'm not sure if I adopted this or like it's something that I've always had, but like recently I've only begun to notice that like when I'm actively listening to somebody, that's when I'll make certain expressions, right? And they'll pick it up on my face, and I wouldn't even realize that like I made that face, because in my head I'm still listening and digesting the information. Face like I'm trying to tell you something. I'm just like, I didn't realize. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Like a questioning face. I'm just like, wait, what? But like trying to understand and like actively listen, and I'm not thinking about my facial expression because that's not my concern. You know what I mean?
No,
even how am I doing and stuff. My answer is usually, I don't know. I haven't thought about it, and they get upset and just like, how do you not not know what you're feeling. I'm like, I don't know. I'm hungry. That's the best I can give you right now.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, no, yeah, I relate to that.
I completely relate.
Yeah, for real. I just sometimes, like, after expressing myself a lot, like after it happens, the social interaction stuff, I'm like, shit, like sorry, it's for again, but I'm like, oh man, like what was happening with me? Like I was all over the place. It's like something takes over. You're not controlling that. It feels like reflex. Your body's just reacting to just whatever's going on, and you just like, this is happening. Yeah,
absolutely. Weird. That's exactly how it feels, Tim. It's like my FE is like a reflex, or like it just happens, and like so it shows on here, but it's not like I meant to. So
yeah,
I wonder if, like, say your F feelers or FI users have more like intention or like directness when they show emotion, but with me it just happens and I can't like bottle it up. It just like whoosh, and then
And when people tell me like, oh, you're really nice, you're a nice person or stuff like that, like I get so confused because I'm like, it doesn't feel like me because I'm the TI identity. I'm like, I guess I behaved in a way that's nice, but it doesn't feel like that was me. You know, I guess it's because the FE's like external. It's not like you kind of thing. I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah. It's like when when you're in that external environment, your brain just like turns on the FE part and you can't help it. It's automatic or some impulse, and you like, I can't even control it to some extent because the FE just happens. And then I'm left with people commenting on it, and then now I have to answer to it. But then I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, okay, guys, thank you for that feedback.
Exactly. Would you say that we have like this FE mask that we put forth to other people so that they can feel more comfortable with us, and therefore we can get more information from them?
Oh yeah. I think for sure. And I think it's also like I want them to do it with me. You know what I mean? Like I'm sensitive to hostility as well. Or not even hostility, just like I find that if they did that to me, that would be good. So it's like we're helping each other. Giving us like the
so calibration.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exactly it.
It's true. And I guess there's an FE mass component to it too, because I think there's the intuitive NT side, the NI and the TI, that's hard for other people to grasp sometimes. Like you'll say it and people won't get it. So it's like the FE is put on because you know, like sometimes people don't get my NT-ness, so might as well be smiley and lovely.
Yeah. And I think I was learning about like how to like converse or like argue with people. It was more like I was interested in like how do you convince people of stuff. Obviously trying to push my TI agenda on people, but it was saying people, like the more open-minded or open people are to listening to you, the more they will actually take in what you're. So if you do the FE, they will listen to your TI. Like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like for the TI. It's like if you want to be heard, you have to make them want to listen to you. You know?
Isn't that kind of NI strategic?
Yeah, that too. That too as well. For sure.
Interesting. Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else.
I didn't say, but also I've had people in the past say I'm like FI too. Like from my because in the Facebook group for Objective Personality, like people when they're not typed, they can like put their video on and be like, guys, what do you think? And I was really early on when the Facebook group got started, and I got typed like straight away anyways. But someone created like a doc where people could put their videos that they sent to get typed, and people can just comment just to practice their typing skills. And like the few people that did type me, they were like, oh, NIFI. And even Dave, he said he was like, he thought this might be an IFI. Like he said, it sounded like a lot of NF, like NIFI, and then he said he realized that this is logic. This is not like, it sounds NF and like, you know, that kind of way, but there's like a logical structure to it. So yeah, I get that too, for sure.
It's my ENFP calls TI a cheesecloth. So it's like with TI, it has this really complex logic, like each thread connects to each thread. So it's like this tied in ideas. So, but it's like so intricate. Like I see like TI is intricacy with logic. So it's depending like how scalpel, you know, like doctors, they use that thing that they surgically go deeper with. Like TI does that to like make its opinions like very sound. And you do that, Otim, and you also do that, David, where you're trying to get a sound logical opinion and you keep going more precise and intricate to get there. So
that's also related to why we have that FE mask, because like I don't want to come out with that scalpel at the person straight away and just stab them. I wanna like put some I want to soften them up before it comes out, so it's not like a straight you know. So you know what I mean? I don't know. Do you guys relate?
No, you're on point with that. I would say like FE is a sort of social anesthesia that we put off so that we can like create this atmosphere for the person to feel more relaxed. And then we try to like dig in with the TI to try and figure out, okay, this is what's going on the inside. And this was what seems to make sense. And we put those two together, and that creates most of what our discussions with other people tend to be. Like for me, it would start off with the SE of making observations and stuff like that, then gathering that information with my NI, talking with the person, giving them the anesthesia, then doing a surgical, analysis of the person with the TI, and just kind of bringing everything all together if I really want to like discuss a lot of stuff with my friends. But
that's a beautiful way of putting it. Social anesthesia, so you can use your TI surgical knife to it and dissect it for real. Yeah, that's exactly how it feels like.
That's so there's been a lot of gems in this video. I'm probably gonna watch this again. Like,
it's
this
amazing.
is good.
Yeah, and I'd love to invite you guys on again to like make a part 2 of this. I'd love it. But yeah, I completely agree. There's a point that I want to lead that off of, but my masculine NI is being like a feminine NI right now. I'm totally forgetting.
This is my life. This is like a minute basis for me. Like
and
it's annoying, right? It's really annoying. Like,
day in the life of Otim's shoes. I'm experiencing it right now. But it was like lovely chatting with you guys. You guys offered such like gold nuggets, takeaways for like NITIs. So, you know, a lot of people talk about NIFE, the regular INFJ, but you got to give some credit to the NITIs. You know, like we're repping this home base right now. And if you guys loved Otim and David, they had amazing words and they made this episode awesome. So check them in the links below. Show them some love. If you like this episode, like, subscribe. And thank you guys for watching this far. You guys are troopers. Like, you're so amazing for watching this far. You have an amazing attention span and dedication to the show that warms my heart. And like, thank you guys for being such wonderful guests.
Yeah, this was great. Yeah, this was so fun. It was so cool. Like, it felt a lot quicker than it's been an hour, but yeah, this was like, it felt like 20 minutes, you know. So this was good. I'd love to come back on.
Yeah, they say time goes by quick when you're in your flow state. So thank you for putting me in my flow state, guys. I appreciate it.
I like that. Yeah. Let's do it again.
Yeah. Yes. So closing words. I think that, David, you described my mental process like no one has ever before. So thank you for that. Like, I felt really understood by your comments. And Otim, you are very like charismatic and like lovable on like shows. So like, thank you for bringing your very likable presence on Type Talks.
No problem. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for bringing us on. For allowing me to like just talking. Like, this has been really cool to just relate to other people, because the way you guys like have been able to like the way we've been able to connect right now is just like kind of crazy. It's like bringing me back to like that feel of when I first discovered Type, and when I first started to see, wait a minute, this is actually true about me. So like all that stuff is what I've been reliving again. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. No, for real.
Yeah, I'm reliving the refreshingness of learning type for the first time because you guys make me feel understood and related to and seen. And you guys are just funny too. So, so yeah, thank you guys for being on Type Talks. Links to them are down below. And thank you for tuning in, guys. Bye.
Peace out. See ya.